Good morning. I hope you all are doing well. I've been getting questions about our current market status and what do I see for the future, especially when it comes to home values. So instead of all the individuals answers I've been getting, I figured I'd make a good video and had these came across these charts from Keeping Current Matters. So they do a great job of kind of showing our foundations and our fundamentals of real estate and values that, where we're at right now, and I think they're a good indicator of what we can expect to see in the future. So before we get into that, I lived through 2008. I was a big real estate investor, had built a nice portfolio of properties, took advantage of some of the craziness that was going on there in a very good way, and I felt it in a very hard way in the years after it. So looking at where we are right now, I was fully into the world then, fully into it now. I think we are looking at two totally different animals. And let's look at these fundamentals with these charts. So the first chart I want to show you is our annual home price appreciation. In the years leading up to 2008, we were seeing crazy amounts of appreciation, anywhere from 6.5 to 12.5% year over year increases on a national basis. That's insane. I had one property that I owned it for less than a year, and I made a killing on it. In the last 6 years, in national numbers, we've seen an increase of 4.4 to 6.4%. So even the highest appreciation year over year nationally didn't even hit what we were seeing on the low end before 2008. So our price appreciation, our values of real estate, I think are very solid. They're very good. They're very normal. Locally, we've been seeing a 3.0 to probably 3.5% appreciation year over year for the last couple of years. The next indicator I want to look at is our availability of mortgage credit. It's an index that's tracked by the Mortgage Bankers Association, and it shows how hard or easy it is for a borrower to get credit, to get a home loan. The years leading up to 2008, we hit numbers that were crazy. It was super easy to get loans. We had loan products out there that were income stated loans, meaning that you could say, hey, I earn $1 million a year, even though on taxes you only earn $10,000 a year. So we had those types of products. We also had negative amortization loans. We had all sorts of crazy products out there. Now, almost if you had a pulse, you could get a loan. Currently, that index is 1/10 of what it was then. It's a lot harder to get loans, and you've probably heard of some banks raising their minimum credit scores. That's not to say that the programs have changed necessarily. Just certain lenders have decided, hey, we're going to raise our standards for loans. So it's a lot harder for borrowers to get loans. In recent years, we've been seeing some relaxing in those in loan requirements and stuff like that, but nowhere near what we had in the years leading up to 2008. The next indicator I want to look at is our just inventory. Month supply of inventory is a pretty good indicator of how many homes are out there versus the demand that is there. And the years leading up to 2008, we had a lot of inventory. We had a lot of, compared to how many homes people were actually buying. Our inventory nationally was approaching almost a year of inventory. Then in 2010, you can see our inventory availability went up to even higher highs, and that was really because of all the foreclosures that were going on. In recent months, our inventory is going down, down, down. It's getting so tight right now. Locally, we're at about 1 point in the markets that I track real carefully, and I do monthly market reports on them. We're at about 1.6 months of inventory. That's not a lot. And if you've been out there in the buying world, if you're buying property, you're looking to buy a property, you've probably been beat out by multiple offers. That's going to be even harder, I think, as we get out of the market. We have pent-up demand, especially in the affordability index or affordability range of properties. Properties under about 350, over about $150,000. Because if you get $150,000, you're probably in a more of an investor grade property. Property needs a lot of work on it. But anywhere from about 150 to 250, 350, serious competition out there, and that's where most of our sales are locally. So our inventory is super tight now. I think it's just going to get even tighter as we move out of this situation. Next chart I want to look at are sort of this is sort of the background noise in the market, if you will. It's numbers that we don't normally see reported out there, but it's numbers that bankers look at. It's numbers that they look at their position on and look at how risky things are. In the 3 years leading up to 2008, this is about the amount of equity that people have cashed out of their house. So they've refinanced it, they've tapped into the equity. They took out $824 billion of home equity. So people were tapping into their equity. They were maybe buying other properties, maybe doing other investments, doing home projects, stuff like that. In the last 3 years, we've only had $232 billion taken out in equity of refinancing and stuff like that. That's a third, right? So fewer people are tapping into it. In my mind, it's sort of a confidence type thing. If you're very confident, you think your prices are going to go up and up and up, you're taking out the equity. That's what happened in 2005, 6, 7. That's why a lot of people got into trouble, because they had more equity tapped out of their house than they had into it. Versus the last 3 years, not a whole lot of confidence out there. They haven't been tapping into the equity as much, which brings us to the very next slide, and I think this is hand in hand with that. That was very different in 2008. In 2006, 7, 8, a lot of people are buying properties. So they had very little money into it. If they had a stated income loan or they had a negative amortization loan, they didn't have any equity. In fact, they were building on the equity. They were tapping into the equity they were building even. Right now, over 53.8% of homes have over 50% equity in it. Some might be paid off. Some people just have been paying them down. People have huge amounts of equity. 2006, 7, 8, if you bought your house then, you didn't have any hardly equity. And like I said, you might have been tapping into it sort of with already. Easy to walk away from that when you don't have a whole lot of equity in your house. When you have a whole lot of equity in your house, you're not walking away from it. If you have 50% equity on your house, you're not walking away from it. You're going to probably look for a forbearance if that's causing you problems. And of course, there's some new tools out there with that right now. People aren't going to be walking away from their houses. They're not going to be the glut of homes that we had like in 2010. I think we're going to see that continuing tightening of the market. The last two charts I want to look at have to do with rates and the real subject that prompted this video, and that was price changes. So first, let's look at rates and points. I want to look at the last 5 recessions that we've had, because everybody's calling what we're interested in into a recession, depression, whatever. That's not the point. But in the last 5 recessions that we've had, we had interest rates all the way as high as 16.5% with 2 points on top of that, down to a low of about 6% interest. Now, most people, if they were given a 6% interest loan right now, knowing our history for the last 10 years, they would think we're crazy. It doesn't make any sense to be paying that kind of money or you shouldn't be buying a house at that kind of interest rate. But there are people that were paying back in the early 80s when I was first kind of aware of real estate and I was about 10 years old. Man, they were happy to pay 16% interest. What? That's high. That's almost as high as your credit cards right now. So interest rates right now, we're in the 3s and 4s. I expect with what the Fed has done, we're still going to be in that price point for foreseeable future, another year or two. Interest rates, they're probably still going to stay low. That just continues to increase people's buying power. The other thing we want to look at is price changes over the last 5 recessions. The recession that everybody remembers, everybody's comparing our current situation to, is 2008, right? In 2008, we had over 19% on average across the country reduction in prices. That hurts. That's what everybody's expecting coming out of this. But what if I told you on the last 4 recessions beyond that one, the prices only went down one time. And even then, they only went down about 2%. So last four recessions, besides 2008, prices actually went up after it. So where do you think prices are going after this? There's a lot of people that are out of jobs. I understand that. There's a lot of people still in jobs. There's a lot of people working from home. There's a lot of people that are working harder than they were. I think the current situation, yeah, it does. It's taken some people out of the market. It's taken some of the lower credit scores out of the market. That's just where we're at. Things are in a turmoil time. But I think we're poised to see a great increase on prices. If you're looking to buy right now, I think, and if you've taken yourself out of the market just because of where the world stands, I think it's a mistake. I think when we get back into the real world, when things get back to somewhat normal, we're going to see a spike in prices, and it's going to seem crazy, but it's just going to be where our market is. If you've decided to not sell right now and you still need to buy, I think that's a mistake too, because serious buyers, solid buyers, are out there shopping. You can sell your house and you can get a nice price for it. Part of the reason I say it's a mistake is if you need to buy and sell, it'd be good to sell right now and heck, even rent something for a little bit, because when you buy later, you're going to pay that higher price and you're not going to get the same kind of appreciation on your house. The appreciation on a $200,000 house is a lot different. Let's say we see 5% on a $200,000 house and you see 5% on a $300,000 house. That's a lot of different money, right? The same percentage, same appreciation on a percentage basis, but when it comes down to real dollars, there's a lot more dollars involved. So I think coming out of this, we are going to see a increase in multiple offers. Right now, we're seeing probably 3 or 4 multiple offers on properties. You might see 10 or 12. You're going to start seeing people doing crazy stuff, crazy stupid stuff, waiving appraisals, even though having to come up with extra cash. Waiving dollars on inspections and stuff like that. You're going to get priced out of the market if you need to buy, I think. So it all comes down to what can we do right now? There are tons of tools that we have out there to be able to do virtual showings. The other day, I walked a buyer through properties online. We looked at 4 houses online, narrowed the choices to 2, and went to go see them in person. We're doing a lot more stuff in a video sense, in a virtual sense, a remote sense. And same thing if you're looking at selling a property. We can do 3D tours of your property. We can require approvals and that sort of thing from buyers so that only the most serious buyers are actually in your house. We can limit the showings to different times. I think you need to seriously consider getting your house on the market if you need to buy and sell. So we're kind of in uncharted territory. We were in uncharted territory with interest rates having been so low for such a long time before this. Now with COVID, there's a lot of kind of unknowns, but if you can still buy, I recommend doing it. We have got a solid foundation. All the fundamentals that are pointing to between demand, where prices have been, interest rate, all that is a nice solid foundation for real estate to spring back to life and spring back almost in an ugly way. If you've got questions on how to do this, please call or text me. I would love to be able to walk you through, talk about your specific situation, see where you're at. It's a very different world out there. You've got to be prepared. You need to have somebody that's had experience on it. I was first licensed when I was 19 years old. I got to see the good, bad, and ugly of real estate. I saw 16% interest rates. I saw when I was first licensed, we were at almost 10% interest rates back then. We've bought and sold plenty of properties in. We're at 3% now. Let's get you rocking and rolling. Let's get you set up for success. Let's get you prepared so that you really understand what you're getting into and you can make an informed decision. Without it, you're just kind of shooting a breeze. I know there's a lot of people speculating out there. All they remember is 2008. I have been through every one of the last 5 recessions. I got hurt bad on the last recession. I didn't pay attention to the fundamentals. I'm looking at the fundamentals now, and I don't want you to get hurt as we get ready to spring out of this crazy world. It might take us another 30 days. It might take us another, 3 months. Nobody knows just right now, but you need to be ready. You need to have an expert on your side. Please call or text me. My number is easy to remember. It's 804-642-4235. The easy to remember version is 804-MICHAEL, because my number does spell my name. But you want to have somebody that's confident. You want to have somebody that can look at the numbers, that can think through those things for you. I was walking a buyer through today on the numbers. They're looking at putting an offer on a property. I gave them a price that I thought where they could do really well with it and not be crazy stupid. I hope they take action, because otherwise they're probably going to be paying more in the future and they won't get as nice of a house. It's just kind of where we're at. Again, I might be completely wrong, completely off base, but looking at the numbers, and I look at numbers a lot. I look at numbers every month. I run market reports. These fundamentals, they don't scare me. I think we've got a really, really, really solid foundation. Are you ready to blast off? Are you ready to take advantage of it? Or are you just going to get priced out of the market? It's up to you. Let's talk about your individual situation. Again, 804-642-4235 or 804-MICHAEL. Look forward to talking to you.